What's happening, guys, and welcome to NBA Reloaded. Kevin Garnett played in the NBA for a long time, and although people knew he was talented, there wasn't that much hype surrounding him. In this video, we're looking into answering the question, just how good was Kevin Garnett? Before we get started, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our future videos going forward. Number 9. Early years. There are players who slowly and surely hone their skills as they get along with age, but Kevin was an outlier among them. From a very early age, he had tremendous skill that he worked hard to maintain every day. He initially lived in South Carolina, but due to the fact that this was before segregation had ended, it meant that he had to deal with a lot of racism in his everyday life. This eventually resulted in him being blamed for something he wasn't a part of, and that ended up being the last straw for him. He packed his bags and moved to Chicago, where he further involved himself in his skills on the court. And believe us when we say, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to his skills. Number 8. Skills during high school. After he had relocated to Chicago, where he could easily focus on his game, he ended up making a name for himself all over the country. During his time with the academy, he had unbelievable stats associated with his name. He had a 28-2 record, which he had a big hand in maintaining. Speaking of making records, he had 25.2 points to his name, 17.9 rebounds, and 6.7 assists. As if all that wasn't enough, he also had the stat of 6.5 blocks on 67% shooting. If these statistics seem a bit low to you to consider him a great player, keep in mind that this was during his very early years. He hadn't even been signed by the NBA at this point. But anyone that puts up numbers like that was bound to get noticed eventually, which is exactly what happened to him as well. Number 7. Secret to success. You might be thinking why someone like him would have excelled in his early years while many others don't. Well, it might have had something to do with the fact that he was 6 foot 11 inches tall. Not only that, he also had a 7 foot wingspan that made him look very threatening to other players. Combine all that, and it was more or less inevitable that he would end up exactly as he did. Another thing that made him that much better was his passion. Since he had very humble beginnings, he was determined to make his presence known to the world. This resulted in him giving his all and winning multiple awards during his time as a young player. But then it came time to make a decision about his future. Number 6. Choosing the NBA. Kevin had a very strange career from the very start due to his immense skills, but although he was athletically very strong, he struggled when it came to academics. This resulted in him not passing the SAT, which wouldn't have been a big deal for anyone, but since he had a dream of playing college basketball, he was devastated. But things weren't as bad as he had been assuming. This is because he had the NBA to fall back on. This resulted in him having meetings with many managers who wanted to represent him, but he was late to many of them and repeatedly ignored them. But there was one guy who took a chance on him, which was Eric Fleischer. Number 5. Impressing the Timberwolves. When he became his manager, Eric got the chance to see him perform on the court. Along with him were people from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Those guys took one look at the young prodigy and made up their minds that they wanted him on their team. When the draft took place, the Timberwolves chose him as their 5th pick. Ironically, just before he was picked, he got a call saying that he had passed the SAT, but it was a bit late for him to consider that path in life. During his initial season, he impressed everyone around him so much that he was made a regular on the court, where he got the chance to further hone in his skills. He had the ability to defend against even the strongest of opponents while being agile enough to sprint from one end of the court to the other like it was child's play. Number 4. New Deal. During his career, he broke many records, and not all of them had to do with his performance on the court. After a stunning performance in the first season, he signed a record $126 million deal for 6 years with the Timberwolves. But one of the best things about him was the fact that he remained the same guy as he was before, meaning that he continued to work hard and train every day. He didn't let all that money go into his head. Number 3. Years of struggle. After signing a new deal, he worked hard to get his team to the finals of the NBA, but try as he might, he couldn't single-handedly make the impossible happen. He initially had a close partner on court, but soon after he signed a new deal, he got tired of being in his shadow, and so he was traded to another team. Due to all this happening, the Minnesota Timberwolves struggled to get past the first round in most seasons. It seemed like they were stuck on that level and couldn't proceed any further, but all that changed when the 2003 season rolled around.
One-on-one, Camby and Garnett. 4 on the clock. Garnett will fire away and hit.
Number 2, being named as MVP. Kevin Garnett is a player that learns from his struggles, and after years of doing just that, he finally turned things around. But he wasn't the only one that made the stunning changes happen, as he was aided by the addition of Sam Cassell and Latrell Sprewell to his team. During the 2003-04 season, the entire team was on their A game, especially Kevin. This resulted in them getting the best record in the Western Conference, and that was also the reason that resulted in him getting the MVP award. But unfortunately, the success could not be maintained, and things fell apart in the very next season.
Home to the NBA MVP, Kevin Garnett.
You play this game with a passion, with an energy, with a devotion, with a respect, and with a loyalty to your fans.
Number 1, going to Boston. After signing on for a new deal with the Timberwolves, Kevin tried his best to get his team a title, but unfortunately, he couldn't accomplish that. This led to him moving to Boston, who gave up 7 players to get Kevin on their team. This shows just how valuable a player Kevin really was, and this was also another record that he got in his career. With the Boston Celtics, he was able to renew his diminishing skills, which led him to have an extraordinary defense during his games. All this resulted in the team getting the NBA title in 2008, which Kevin played a great part in.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible!
What's even more extraordinary is that this was the Boston Celtics' first win since 1986. After a few more successful years at 2 more teams, he lost his supreme prowess after sustaining an injury while playing for the Timberwolves again. It was soon after that he chose to retire from the game. So these were some of the details of just how good Kevin Garnett really was. Even after the injury, he put up some admirable numbers, and even though he's retired, his presence on the court will never be forgotten. So let us know some of your best moments of Kevin Garnett's career in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, there's the like button that you have to bash, and if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell so you can catch up on more juicy NBA content from our channel in the future. And until next time, take care and goodbye.